In a fantasy far, far away, a warrior of light was transported to the 12th universe of Final Fantasy. Yet in its opening cinematic, it all felt so familiar, as if I had been here before, flown spaceships through these skies, celebrated new hopes, and feared expanding empires. Glorious cinematics are Final Fantasy at its best, as you know you're in for a treat. The opening to FF12 was no different. Initially, I felt like I had just experienced a story within a story. I am very happy to say it was much more influential and relevant with specific characters than what I first believed it to be. It's those type of moments that get me intrigued and invested in a story. Dalmasca has been invaded, and by no means has it been a peaceful transition of power with the country being conquered. What's caught my attention and is growing on me the most is how we are exploring different perspectives on the effects that being conquered has on its people, and asking the questions, is it worth suffering resistance? And is the peace of the people greater than one's royal shame? It's the characters that are helping me to explore these themes and dynamics. Van, in particular, is growing on me the most because in the short time of our journey, his character evolves from this easygoing guy that is contrasted by a brewing volcano of hate towards the Empire to what I believe to be an observant character that is learning what it actually means to resist the Empire. Van being observant wasn't a trait I would necessarily associate with him on first impressions, but his ability to learn showcases that it's not a simple matter of just starting a fight to take back his homeland. To resist is to further incur their wrath, bringing me personally to more of a question of which way would I prefer to suffer? Over a long, somewhat peaceful time period that allows some freedoms and traditions to remain, but could potentially see them erased, or suffer quickly and brutally through the trenches of war. For me, it is these questions I feel Van is coming to better understand, and I'm excited to see how he explores them as I continue the story. It's this dilemma that I see Ash and Barsh exploring to the same depth, and one, ironically, Vossler was somewhat trying to achieve. These three have such a great and interesting dynamic for me. Ash is a queen without a crown, Barsh named a traitor by the same people he protected, and Vossler, a soldier trying to desperately create a safe peace for his queen. But at what cost? Ash is great because when you meet her as Malia, she subverts the princess archetype of being a damsel in distress. She isn't powerless and is willing to fight back to save her people. But what if those aren't the skills needed to save her people right now? That's why I'm excited in seeing her character grow, because I love her stereotypical masculine traits of steadfastness, unwavering passion and resolve to fight back and reclaim her throne, are challenged by exploring alternatives, by better understanding her people's needs before her own desires. It's such a great character conflict to build upon her royal heritage, questioning what it means to be a great queen. Barsh and Vossler, on the other hand, present an interesting dynamic of learnt experience. I love the twist with Barsh having a twin and not being native to Damascus because it adds to the stakes of him defending a country that isn't his own, yet he was still willing to do his duty and die defending it, further highlighting just how effective propaganda can be to warp storied heroes into terrible villains. On the other hand, Vossler has helped to lead the resistance against the Empire, yet ends up trying to make a deal with them. Which to me is great story-wise because it's so ironic that in his fight against them, he would believe they would actually hold up their end of the bargain. It's the contrast of the two characters for me that showcase the lesson that Barsh was shown by not understanding and trusting his king's decision, which we see Vossler repeat. All this conflict is driven by the desire for power, and in particular, the power of Nephthysite, which seems to be a mystery connected to the enigma that is the mist. It is something that Fran has been connected to, and it's all very much unexplained so far, but I found the interaction between Fran and the abuse of the Nephthysite humanizing. Fran has always been sensitive to its slight changes, and in that moment it is personified through her, and you see that the Empire is causing it pain and rage beyond measure. For me, this highlights how out of balance the greed and abuse of power is, and the consequential effects that has on the environment around them. Fran, who is normally attentive and poised, is rendered berserk and inconsolable because of the consequences she now suffers by the hands of others, which is outside of her control, symbolizing how quickly power and greed can corrupt. This cycle is perpetuated by the Empire, who I am now getting small glimpses into, a viper's nest with fangs at the ready to seize control. We see this in the Senate, preferring a young, malleable boy emperor over a man with his own mind. They want a puppet to control, rather than a leader to follow. Cycling this spiral of deceit and betrayal from unspoken words and false appearances and performances, cementing the snake like image of an Ouroboros in my mind. The serpent eating its own tail can be interpreted in many different ways, and in this instance, I see it as a cycle of greed and hunger, the destructive nature of the empire. So is Larsa going to be the one to start ending this cycle? The desired puppet that actually seems to be much more well travelled and willing to interact with other people, to listen and to learn, and seek more diplomatic and tolerant solutions towards peace. As for the rest of the cast, we have the mysterious Sky Pirate. I enjoy Balthier's character a lot, but definitely feel like there is more mystery behind his backstory that we haven't had the chance to delve into yet. So I feel like I would definitely have more thoughts on him once more secrets are revealed. And lastly, Penelo. I just don't have a lot of thoughts about her character thus far. What intrigues me as we move forward is how Varn particularly is going to grow as a character with how he feels towards potentially seeking more peaceful results with the Empire instead of his heated reaction to wanting to fight back in the beginning. And in that same vein, I am interested if we are going to reach peaceful conclusions or default to war. While dreams of peace may be honourable, I think this story highlights the reality of the world they live in, even looking at Rabanastra and how the people were forced out of their city and underground. It's all these types of wider impacts that add depth to the storytelling, setting up stakes to the decisions our characters make because the average person is just trying to get by as peacefully as possible. Maybe it's that idea of peacefully getting by when one shouldn't be that might be challenged. Is a peaceful resolution going to enable a slow suffering, or is it time to fight back? Please comment to let me know how you felt early on in FF12 and subscribe to the channel to stay tuned to find out if my feelings change after playing more. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and I can't wait to see you next time. Thank you!